Board of Supervisors. He's going to inform us what they've been talking about over the course of the past 10 years, actually. So I'm done. Let's give it up for Jason Bellows.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Jason Bellows. I'm the current Vice Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. Thanks, Tony, and thanks everyone for inviting me here today to talk a little bit about public access and resiliency on the shoreline. The county has been, since I've been on the board, but longer than that, more than 20 years since they started to work this into the comprehensive plan. We've been trying to develop public access and improve the sites that we do have. And so over that course of my term on the Board of Supervisors, we've really only been able to accomplish one more project, and that's the public boat ramp that we were in partnership with the marina with a few years ago. And that site's been fairly successful, and it was a good public-private partnership that we developed there, and I think everyone kind of got a little bit of the flavor of what it is to like to work with me and the Board of Supervisors on projects. And so going back to 2012, I pulled out this plan. This was shortly when I got on the Board of Supervisors. This was the initial sort of proposal that was put on the table for public access. I brought a few copies, so y'all can kind of pass those around. I think there's about 10 copies. And I have a few business cards y'all can pick up afterwards if you would like to. But as y'all can see, over the course of just the one storm, we've been fortunate over the last couple of years. We haven't had a lot of northeasters, but last week was the first flavor of a northeaster we really haven't seen in a while. And you can kind of see how much water came up and how quickly the shoreline can erode. More than 2 years ago, when I stood down here with Jay Woodward and the Army Corps of Engineers and the county officials, and we talked, there was probably another 30 feet of shoreline that we were standing on that's not there today. It's out in the water. So we know how serious this problem is, so we've kind of gotten past that first part. If you're not there now, then you should really go down to the shoreline. You can really see how fast that's eroding. And another nor'easter, you're looking at another possible 10 feet. And the problem is here is we're also running up against time, but it takes time to, once you approve and get behind a project, to get all the permits in place. We're probably taking another year of time before that could actually even get started. But I think if we can agree to work together and kind of come to an agreement on a plan, the county is really active, and this board is really active right now in pursuing public access. We've got a committee formed. They're looking at the current sites that the county already owns. We've already got the pending permit here to improve the 50-foot of beach access that we do have and shore up that thing with some jetties and a breakwater. That permit's in final approval process. And so that's where we are today. And so it's been a long time getting to where we are today, but we need to act with urgency, I believe, because we don't have a lot of time. And looking at this, you can see the series of breakwaters that were proposed back in 2012 when this was stamped. This was over a $500,000 project then. I can almost guarantee, based on the one breakwater and the work we're proposing and having to look at right now, is over $150,000. This is probably $1 million worth of shoreline improvements that are needed to improve the shoreline and prevent further erosion. If you've been up to Belle Isle recently, VDOT has worked on a major project up there to shore up a lot of the similar erosion that was going on up there at Belle Isle. They were losing 10 feet, 15 feet of shoreline up there a year. They were lucky because VDOT had to meet their TDML requirements for the Chesapeake Bay Act improvements for nutrients, and so they didn't have enough sites to do that on their own, so they had to partner with state parks. And Belle Isle was selected as one of those projects, and they got $1.7 million worth of improvements for free, basically, or paid for by VDOT. That was a major project there. So basically, this was the proposal in 2012. The Board of Supervisors would still like to pursue this proposal and would like to work with you all in a public-private partnership, very much similar to what we worked on over there with public access. This place has a long history of kind of being an active area of things that really used to have a hotel and lots of activity, restaurants. It was a lot more improvements here and looked a lot nicer over the years, and over the years it's kind of declined. We're lucky that the marina has been able to be successful as they are and maintain what they do have. But I think we can go a long ways to improve things. If you look at public accesses in other places like the Outer Banks or places, they're kept really nice and they're maintained really nice, and all the things that, since I've been on the board, people call me about complaints or issues. Check with the people over there at Bright Waters where we have the other public landing for the kayaks. We're very responsive, and so I think the county's a good partner to work with. And when we say we can get behind a proposal, we will accomplish it and work with you all. So that's really all I have to really say about it. That's kind of a lot in a little bit of time, but I'm open for questions and basically for y'all to kind of just take this and digest it and come up with y'all sort of like ideas and proposal as well, and let's try to work together rather rapidly to fix this problem that we can't wait another day really to dwell on.
Well, I mean, I'll start, and this is open then for anybody to ask questions, but could you describe a little bit when you say partnership? I mean, certain land is owned by the county, and certain land is then owned privately, so what, could you sort of specify what, in other words, the county can sort of do what it wants with its own land, so how do we partner?
So the county basically, well, it's because the road ends there, we have the 50-foot piece of land right at the very end of the road that the county basically owns and maintains at this point. The marina has given us another 50-foot of right-of-way onto their property as public beach access, basically going up to the edge of that concrete. And so that's just sort of not a written agreement or anything, it's just sort of an understanding. But other than that, there's a small slither of land, as you can see on this, where it basically is the landing property, which is that part that's in green. The yellow part, as you can see, is the current existing county property, which is from this time to now, this is probably inaccurate. A lot more is washed away.
Okay, and then just lastly, are there any specifics about some things that you have planned?
Also, I mean, the idea would the kind of things that the members of the Board of Supervisors they really want a public fishing pier. Of course, all the breakwaters and the protection of the shoreline. They want to have more beach access, so that working with the marina to basically grant access all the way up to the edge of their property where the tiki bar basically begins. We would clean up all that concrete and make the beach nice. We would beach nourish, so we could pour sand on top of the beach and over time it would wash down. We can do that. We can't pour it on the shore or in the water. That will have to form naturally behind the breakwaters over time, which will occur, as you can see if you go over to the property next to us, with how much sand that they're accumulating as a result of that.
Okay, and then lastly?
And then we want basically, as you would at a public beach, sort of like a bathroom.
Do you have any idea where this fishing pier would be specifically?
It would be sort of right at the end of the road, where it used to be. The ferry dock ended right there in the road. Pre to Isabel, there was remnants of the pier. Before that, 30 or 40 years ago, it was actually an active pier. People actually went on it.
There's an old aerial shot. This is from about 2007, 2008, I believe. So if you look, draw a line from this point. I'm about to lose this pine tree after this last storm. Draw a line completely across. That is going since 2008. So there's your pier and the beach that existed.
A lot of that, there are a lot of serious, I'd say a good portion of that too. The pier was completely washed away in Isabel. That was the last major storm, but as you can see, it doesn't take a hurricane. Northeasters have been fairly common over the years. Just the last 2 years, we basically had none because of this weather patterns that we
Well, I've
have.
been here since, I've had a boat here since 2012, and I've seen it flood 3 times. One, it got this high, but we didn't have wind changes. So in that time period, there have been 3 elevated tide events. One was, 2 years ago when we scheduled a car show here. The whole point flooded, but we had no wind. So
Yeah.
it was just, it came up nicely, gradually, and it went away. This time it just chewed us, and it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse. This was the storm when I stood down here a few months ago and was talking about like we're only one storm away from a major problem here.
Here it is.
And here we are. And it's only going to get worse. The counties actively would pursue this and has considerable resources to put behind this because we've been working at this for 10 years. And like I said, we've got some other sites that the county already owns. We're pursuing work there. I would say this is sort of not only a limited time for the experience that's going, environmental experience here, the county's like not going to diddle on public access at this point. If it becomes too much of a problem to pursue it here, then we're basically going to look at our other sites and pursue, put the money there and rapidly move forward on the projects that we can, because it's been in the comprehensive plan for 20 years and we haven't gotten it accomplished, and I'm determined to get it accomplished. And I've been on the board for 10 years now, and so it's time to move forward. And the best way these things work is when we have an active public-private partnership. Everybody gets on board. You tell us what you want, you see what we want, and we'll work together to accomplish X, Y, and Z.
One thing I will say, I know that Peter has communicated this to David, but perfectly willing to tie in water and sewer for a bathhouse facilities. It's just a matter of where, you know. But as far as the partnership between us and the county, yeah, absolutely, we're there. You know, I wish there was a way we could spring for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Right now.
it's one of those things where you can quabble over the price or you can get it done, because, like I said, the people in Florida were quabbling over the price of the massive amounts of money it was going to cost to fix their condominium. And they didn't have the time to quabble like that. They needed to get it done. And the way I see it, you can work with the county and we can all work together, and it will not cost you as much, or you're looking at major money to fork out for each individual homeowner that tackle this problem and to solve it, versus your home washing away and showing on top.
How soon would, you mentioned removing the concrete and stuff that's out there on the beach from the hotel, and the asphalt that's at the end of the road, how soon would you all be cleaning that up?
I mean, at this point, like, I don't think we should remove any of it until we're like, when we start on that breakwater project right here on our beach, we'll clean up that beach and nourish the beach right there at the end of the road.
Concrete's not leaving the point.
But-
Concrete's going to be broken up and used as base.
We're not going to remove or touch that concrete until this project is underway.
You can't remove that until the project is fully underway and equipment and materials are on standby.
Essentially, the plan would be to break that up and move it out on the bottom of the breakwater and pour the rock on top of it, and just to get rid of it and basically use it as some kind of means for less cost.
But beautifying it right now it's actually serving a purpose.
But the asphalt itself doesn't damage or hurt the wildlife?
I mean, it's maybe to agree, it leaches some petroleum products out, but at this point too, if we were to mess with it without having the protection in front of it, we just make the erosion worse, and it would erode more of the road. So
It's just like
we
the
poured
vegetation out there. It's
we
holding
poured
it,
that
serving a purpose.
concrete in front of it a few years ago now, just to try to like temporarily patch what we could, but you can see that's only done a little bit and maybe helped some, but it's still eroded behind it now, and it's at a point where it's just going to keep doing that, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, that picture right there is worth its weight in gold. You can see how that hotel is now in the water.
Yep.
And if you go back another 25 years, you can see there was another 30 or 40 or 50 feet of beach in front of those buildings.
Yep.
You can go to the Google Map timelines and fade back in time over until like back to the 1800s and see how much is washed down
I
there.
had Dave said he was going to bring his drone down and do a flyover Monday. I didn't hear from him, but yeah, we're going to get a drone flyover and compare that to this.
On the other side of the beach on North Point over there, where we used to camp growing up, it's 350 feet out of the water. And that's 30 years.
Remember what they did at Beach Cove Village? I think, Tommy, you were involved in that. That's worked great. I mean, and they had damage with this storm as well. But
All the air conditioning units out in the basin.
Yeah.
All that on the building.
no, but I mean, with this storm, I mean, they still had high water come up in spots, but as far as the damage and loss of the beach, it wasn't near as bad as it could have been. So I wish they had done the same thing here that they did over there. That's working. So if
Well, I
anybody
mean, they
curious
assessed
about
the owners a
effect-
large amount of money and they all paid for it.
Right. But yeah, if anybody wants to see an example of what they're talking about doing, go to Beach Cove Villa and look how it has collected sand over time. It just prevents what just happened to us here.
So what are the immediate obstacles to moving forward
Opposition?
from us?
I mean,
Yeah, if there is,
We're getting
I mean, that's really, I mean, that was what killed this plan in 2012. People didn't want to have a fishing pier down here, didn't want this or didn't want that, and the board's not really interested, nor am I, to get into fights over this when we have other options. I don't really want to fight with the residents down here. I don't want to fight with my constituents over this. I want to work with you all, and
But I think
these are the
the
things that are
attitudes-
really not negotiable for the board. They really,
Yeah.
to get the votes that I need on the board, they have to have these things down here.
But the attitudes have changed. If this storm, prior to this storm, I think the attitudes in general had changed as far as being shown the progression of damage and.
I can
is there
understand.
anybody that's opposed to it?
I can understand there's going to be people that are not completely in favor, and we're not going to please everybody, but at the end of the day, like, if the consensus is to move forward, I bring this back to my board and we start immediately to work toward the design and final plans and permitting that would be required to start moving forward.
Is there a way to prevent erosion without the fishing pier?
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to do that, but I don't have the votes on the board to invest in all that breakwater without this kind of public access and
And
improvements.
where would the beachgoers and people to the pier park?
As you can see on this, we'd have to require additional land or right of way from you all, either through perpetual easement on that piece of green land that y'all own, or purchase that land. Or work in a public-private partnership where y'all give up that land and Marina gives up their right of way on the beach as part of this investment. That's y'all's skin in the game.
So to summarize, Lancaster County will contribute the financial piece of it if they can build a pier, and then we're on our own if we don't want the pier. So there'd be assessments for all of us.
That's probably the gist of it, yes. I mean, we're going to do our improvements that we've already got for that small section, which will do some protection, but it's not going to protect the rest of this, and it's not really going to protect further down.
If they do anything, it's going to be protect just the public access beach.
Right.
Not
Us.
beach, or not the landings and not the marina.
Okay.
So,
Yes, sir.
I see where this has been proposed in 2012, that fishing pier. If we're doing a public-private partnership with the marina, does that pier have to be in that location? Because it seems like to me that's not public partnership. The only thing would be partnership would be our parking lot. That would be affecting all the neighbors in front. Is there a way to move that fishing pier over?
It could move over to some degree, but there was another proposal to put it down near the right, basically coming off the harbor there. But
Well, that
basically
proposal-
Coast Guard basically poo-pooed that too as well. That wasn't going to work, and it was a hazard to.
it was going to border this side of the channel. So what they wanted to do was fence off the beach from the road all the way across this property, make that public access, fence it off from the marina, and have the pier on this side of the channel. So what, you're going to reel your line in every time a boat comes and goes?
No, I don't think that was a good idea, but I'm just saying,
You know,
the way this pier is projected, you don't have any of the townhomes in front of it. And the ones on the corner, the pier's gonna be in front of it.
yeah, but, all right, look at this picture. Come look at this picture and see what it did, and look at the location of the pier.
Basically-
It's not angled in front of Jeff's condo, okay? This is where it was. But look, that wall under that pier collected that sand and
Right.
formed that beach and protected it. All we're talking about doing is putting it right back where it was.
I mean, it would be visible from those condos, yes.
That's my point. I mean, is there any way to move that thing further
It
this
could be moved
way?
down some, but I don't think you could move it down enough to where it'd be completely not visible. from
Well,
the
not
condos.
completely not visible, just
But then it's not on
compromise.
public land, then it's on private land.
That's
You
my
know, I
point.
mean, giving them right of way to the beach is one thing. Having pier, I mean, I wish I could build a pier myself. That'd be awesome.
Well, as a homeowner on that front road, I can tell you, looking at the pier won't bother me.
I agree, but as a homeowner in the back, that's our view. That's just I'm not opposing it.
Yep.
I'm not stopping it right here. I'm just saying, I'm asking the question.
I'm here to take feedback. I don't expect y'all to digest all of this today. I expect y'all to take it back, talk some more amongst yourselves, and come back with what y'all think is what y'all's wants and desires are, and let's see if we can come to an agreement. But I know that in order to get the votes that I need on the board, I'll have to have those things to some degree. Yes.
You know, most public beaches have a sign that says closes at dusk.
Oh, yeah.
We've never had one. And people, believe me, they're out there all hours of the night. All hours.
Well, I mean, if it was more controllable, like if we had those public accesses, we could gate it off and close it off. But right now, just because the public road ends there, people have the right to drive on down any public road and basically get out, even if it was a private property almost, they could do that if there wasn't people kicking them off of it.
But even if it's a public beach?
But I mean, I would pursue it just like we've done over here. I wouldn't, if there were complaints or people having problems, I would enact enforcement. So there would be signs, and you wouldn't be fishing down here all hours of the night. It'd be like a dawn to dusk kind of environment, in my opinion. And I mean, but we'd still have to work to, just as anything, to work on enforcement. But we haven't had any real issues that were brought up early on, like trash and stuff was going to be left all over there. None of those things have really transpired. It's been really well kept, and the landing has been very pleased with the access road that we built them and the maintaining of the asphalt that we put in of the new road. So that's worked out really well, and it's been getting a lot of activity and boats using it.
We need a second lane. On the boat ramp.
Yeah, it is. On a busy day, it gets backed up for sure.
Yeah, there's a waiting list.
Yes, sir.
I think I heard you say something about a restroom as part of the pier.
Yes.
So that would be a building that would be either on the pier or at the end of the road?
Yeah, it would be
Well, that would be,
somewhere off the parking area, like you would at any other beach access where they have sort of a beach house.
So
that would be-
it would be out there on the beach then?
No. It would be back
it's
in
gonna
the
have
parking lot
to
area,
be
up this
closer
way
to us so
somewhere.
we can tie it in too.
Where, do you have any idea where that might be, or
It doesn't, I mean,
you haven't worked that out yet?
there's no specifics in that. That could be something that could be agreed upon where that would go. It's just something that you kind of have to have public access to a beach really.
Right, okay.
But you describe it as a house, right?
It would be, a small enough building. It wouldn't be some
It would
grand,
be-
it would be a couple of,
It would be a building.
yeah, it'd be a small building that would have like foot showers and have foot showers outside and
Foot
it'd be
showers,
like a bathroom. And you don't perceive you really even need
So
like
then
multiple
you might say
bathrooms. It
a
would just be,
state park or a park. so-
exactly. Maybe not even, some of those are kind of big and elaborate, I don't even necessarily have to.
Yeah,
Something
no.
like
I think honestly, a single bathroom, handicap accessible and foot showers outside, but that doesn't need to be ridiculous. But it's gonna have to be closer over to this side so that we can tie it into the water and sewer. It's not gonna be at the end of the road.
And I would envision building it in the style of whatever is here to maintain the look. Because those types of things are important to me as well.
I mean, I don't know what the permitting process is like for down here, but, you know.
It takes a while right now.
There are requirements for how many toilets and what all you need for
Yeah.
a facility, and you have to meet code. And I know that because that's what I do, so.
Yeah, I think we'd be okay with a single facility as long as it met ADA requirements, so that the pier and all those things, the parking, all that would have to be in there.
Okay.
There's sometimes if you take grant money, they have more stipulations on what you have to do, but I don't know that we pursue or there's that much grant funding for this type of thing right now. But if there is, we would pursue those avenues. We did get $180,000 grant to assist in paying for that. That was paid through for basically people that get fishing licenses. Some of that went to public access money. The state doled out in grants. Yes, sir.
Pardon me, who maintains the bathroom?
The county would.
The county?
Yeah.
Clean it and toilet paper and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah, we most likely would contract that out. But we do have staff that could, but I think as public access grows, we basically have to have the best way to handle that would, again, in my opinion, be a contract with it, so you can hold them accountable and make sure that it gets done frequently versus having a public employee that may get stretched thin.
The location of that bathhouse would pretty much be tied to that piece of land you need from us for parking.
Yes,
Would be, so we'd have parking and a bathhouse
yes.
to look at.
Did you order the graphics behind you? Perfect.
Yeah, I set that up.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you can't make things up.
Yes.
Reality is what it is.
Are there any more questions? I don't want to cut it
The
short.
bathhouse, though, going back to the location of that, I mean, ultimately, the placement of that could be anywhere that you and the marina work at.
Yes,
Like I said,
Just something adjacent to.
stop thinking of the bathhouse being out there. The bathhouse is gonna have to be damn near beside our existing bathhouse, so that we can tie it in with water and
And you'd
sewer.
give up some of your parking.
We've already agreed to that. Already
I
agreed to
didn't
that.
know that.
I mean, I would say the county would be willing to improve their parking lot, so you'll get parking lot improvements just like we improved that road we don't own over there. If there's some other project in y'all's community that needs attention, I would say that the county would put money toward that project in this partnership. Whatever it is to take to get this deal done, the county would be on board with making that happen. Or I can get the votes for that, if I can get these key elements.
Save the beach.
So from a financial perspective, then, the partnership would not involve financial contribution from the landings?
I don't foresee
If they
that.
proceed with the fishing pier?
Right, the issue is that piece of land
Right,
belongs to you guys.
okay.
Could
If
I
I can
just,
get a majority consensus that I'm not gonna have to fight you all every step of the way on this project, then we'll move forward rather judiciously. But like I said, we have other access sites and other places we can put our money, but I foresee that we'd have $5 million worth of investment we could easily invest here.
could I clear this up in my mind here?
Yes,
It appears that I'm hearing the main concern is the fishing pier and the the toilet, as opposed to, you're saying that if it can't be agreed upon, you're gonna take your money elsewhere to a beach?
yeah, no, I mean, we've got other sites that there's other county sites that we already own, and so we're actively now working to develop those out. There's already proposals and we're moving forward on those plans already.
So if you're moving on those plans, what will be done if nothing's agreed upon? What will be done at the end of the road? Anything?
Well, I mean, we'll proceed with what we've got already permitted and planned and put that breakwater out there and continue to try to protect that small portion of what we can.
Right, because I think the immediate concern, at least for me, is the build-up, something to keep the erosion
Well,
from
as soon as we
happening.
can get that permit, it was stuck up for a little bit, but I think it's in the final approval process now. It's been out for public hearing. I don't think there have been any further objections to it. And so, as soon as we get that permit, we'll move forward with getting contractors to do it. But probably at this point, in the way the market is, even if it got approved tomorrow, that work probably can't happen until spring. I don't know. It's hard to say. Contracting, if you try to get any work done around here right now, is quite backlogged.
But not only that, there was an issue of you have a short window that you can actually do the work.
There would probably be some, there's some restrictions due to the tiger beetle and things like that, time of year restrictions of when you can work on the beach.
But the tiger beetle's habitat just washed away, so.
To the bureaucrats up in Richmond and the agencies, those details don't matter.
Yeah, I know. I got the same thing from, I forget what.
I think, back to her question though, unless I'm not understanding this correctly, you've got a plan to spend X dollars on basically a project to protect 50 feet at the end of this road.
Yes,
If the neighbors on either side are in agreement to moving forward with putting a pier at the end of this road, then Lancaster County is willing to spend a considerable more amount of money down here at the end of this road, which is gonna, at the same time, offer additional protections to the landing,
correct,
more so than the work on the 50 feet at the end of the road.
correct.
And this is the same,
Um,
is that basically what's permitted?
I believe that is basically, I'm not sure if this is part, I think it's
Right.
just this and that.
Right.
This L and this part right here.
Right, okay, so
And
that's,
that's like in the final stage of
that's the
approval.
proposal of just the rock groins to protect that 50 foot of beach. versus what they're willing to do.
And how much would
This is
that
what-
benefit the, our side of the road?
It's not designed to benefit you at
I
all.
mean, but would it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, by nature, it's gonna protect that point there, so it would shore up behind it by nature to some degree, yes. But that's not gonna permanently, ultimately solve the problem, because eventually it was gonna do the same thing in a storm over time, erode in behind it. When the water rises up, it'll, if you can see the rock wall in the picture, that used to connect to the shore, it's now allowed, it will do the same thing over time again, as storms happen and sea level continues to rise down here.
Is there anywhere
Get
you
behind
can
it
go,
again.
is there anywhere you can go and read the findings of the BRMRC or whatever the people are?
For this permit,
Yes.
yes, there, you can go to the website and look up the permit.
What about the findings?
They have all
Future
the,
findings and that kind of stuff?
they have all the documents that have been posted as our original application, and then all their supporting documentation as they've gone through the different levels of permitting, the Army Corps of Engineers, all those are in there on the document page.
Okay.
If you go to that and look up the permit from the BMRC, they have additional documents on that tab, and you can click on that and see all the different items as a result. In my email, I think I have the actual permit number, and I'll send that to David and whoever else I have. If you could give me your contact information, I'll email it to you all, and I'll make it easier for you to look up what that permit entails.
How long is the fishing pier proposed to be? How long?
We haven't come to that agreement, or
There's not a minimum that you have to work with?
there's not necessarily a minimum. You have to get out into whatever decent water is. I don't know what the water soundings would be out there, but you want to get it out at least to where there's considerable water around you.
David, was it longer than what this shows?
Yeah, well, there's a point, at that point, even the tip of it is washed away.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot longer than that. The hole was at the end of those blocks. Currently,
What's that?
the hole was at the end of the blocks, at the end of the road. Currently, is not too far from where the pier was. And it was that far because we had to get up into a decent depth of water to fish, just like what you said.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was originally the ferry dock, so the ferries docked there and unloaded back in the turn of the century.
Well, it was a ferry. Where did the ferry go?
We do have a question from the board member Fulton Sensabaugh. Here he is.
Fulton, go ahead.
Yes, I appreciate the information for sure. The main question is relative to the potential add-on work by the landings or the marina. You got your 10 years plus designing the current potential plan. So if we want to tag on to it, and that would be the most efficient way to do it, the process that either marina or the landing would need to go through to obtain the permits and, contract out. It seems almost impossible that we could do it concurrent with your work, even if it takes you 6 or 9 months.
The concurrent work that's going on right now,
Right, with the plan work for another project or two for the marina or the landings for us to get that designed, permitted, and contracted in order to have it run concurrent with your work. This would seem to be that'd be the most efficient way to do it if we want to add more breakwaters to the landing, or if the marina wants some additional work to try to, maximize this effort. It would seem almost impossible for either the marina or the landing to get our acts together from a design permit and contract to look at it at the same time. Does that make sense?
I think what you're saying is basically to have, when the contractor comes to do our project, to have yours in place and permitted it, if you all were to pursue it on your own, and have a synergy of the contractor being there together to cheapen the price. The answer to that would be basically no, as long as it's taken us to get this one permit, almost at this point, 9 or 10 months.
But I already have a permit for some of it still in the works, I'm assuming.
You do.
I do what I did for the marina. So as far as the work on our side of it, reconnecting the rock groins, busting up the concrete, and that permit is still out there. It's still in the works.
I didn't know you all applied for that permit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the status of that would be or their permit, but ours is on final approval, and as soon as it gets approved, we're moving forward as soon as we can, because the wash is happening rapidly. If we don't act as soon as we can to protect what we got, the roads will keep washing and the land will keep washing, so we need to try to shore that up for at least the time being. Again, that's only a temporary fix, because get another Isabella will do the same thing. The tide will come up over top of it, and in behind it, and the road behind it, and onto the landing and further into the old yard, basically. But if we build more breakwaters this way, it will build sand here, and will create a natural breakwater and protection, just as you see there. And we build that back, and you'll have that large amount of sand that protects you.
That pier collected that.
Are there any other questions from this?
There would be a possibility, if we moved ahead with this public-private venture, of getting a breakwater as far as the landings in front of the first 4 units.
Yes. I think, if that's something that would be required to get over the hurdles, then yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, the board and anybody else that wants to join the board for our meeting, welcome to, but